the size of it was like, I don't know what size to be, and it just started jittering like crazy. All right, it shows me.
That's the YouTube link.
It shows me that we're good. Y'all let me know if we're good on the various platforms.
Let me check.
Yeah, YouTube.
Are we live on YouTube?
Oh, we are live.
Oh, hello. On YouTube. And we're also live on the Ledger Status Twitch, but that's not our planned place of congregation. Cool. Well, welcome those of you that are popping in. We're gonna share the URL.
Why am I so pale?
Well, that's a personal problem.
I think it's the camera. I don't think I'm this pale in real life. Tommy?
The camera reduces your
melatonin.
shade. Maybe so. Don, how you doing, buddy?
Good, good. Been a busy day, but doing all right.
Yeah, you were doing some personal stuff.
Yep.
Congrats. All right, I see that we're live here, so I'm gonna get that link directly. Where's the share link? There it is. Copy. Hello, people who are here purely because you got the notification. You're the real ones. Live now for Weekly Open, presented by Blockfolio. Great.
Yeah, Don's got to do something IRL because we're doing nothing in the market.
Because the market is that boring.
Yeah. I mean, it's been going sideways for 11 days and we're already complaining, right? So
I ain't complaining. I'm just making an observation. And it's been 13 days. Okay.
Just FYI. Just FYI. I've been waiting for 2 whole weeks to feel anything.
Yeah, need the adrenaline.
That's right.
It's actually a month. Oh, wow.
It's been a minute. But we had technically a little bit of an all-time high, just not all the way.
True.
But the real coins.
The real coins.
Imagine thinking ETH is going to break 2,500 by the end of the month. Man.
Imagine. Who would have ever put money on such a thing?
Who would have ever made a bet on that?
Don, did you see our bet about that?
Nah, I missed it. What did you guys do?
We bet a steak dinner on whether or not ETH would be 2,500 or more at the end of March, which I felt pretty good about when it was at 1,800 and coiling. And then it's like gold. It's like always $1,700 or $1,800. They're literally the same price, doing nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I would make a bet like in a month it's still going to be 1,780 just based on recent
Just going to stay
action.
exactly the same price.
Yeah.
Well, it's got to get to 2,500 for me to win, and I've got 8 days, so I think I'm going to lose. If I win, I will be euphoric at this point because it's like one of those like, choing, or like right at the end of the bet type of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If anything, I think maybe you get it like 3 days after. It's
Yeah. That's what I told Josh. I was like, "Do you want to re-up this bet?" It's like, no, I want to eat steak. So now I have to fly to DC, get a hotel, pay for his dinner. I really screwed this bet up.
Yeah, it sounds like you got the short end of the stick.
Yeah, that's okay though. All right, I think we're gonna get the show on the road. Don't worry, Luke will be back with us. He must be on Pacific time today or something.
As long as he's not in a ditch. Luke, where are you?
Luke, are you in a ditch? All right, let's get to the show. Y'all ready?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okie dokie. I'm gonna fade it and go to 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to Weekly Open. I'm Brian here with Don and Josh. We're happy to be with y'all today. We want to share all about our thoughts in this market, what's going on, what we see, Before we get to it, though, let's go to our partner, Blockfolio, who is a great trading platform for you to check out. Go to weeklyopen.com/Blockfolio. You can trade there directly between assets. You can go from Ethereum to Dogecoin or whatever else you want to buy or trade directly on Blockfolio from one asset to the other, completely mobile, fully powered by FTX books. It's a great app. That's all you really need to know about Blockfolio. It's awesome. We're big fans. Thanks to Blockfolio for being a presenting sponsor of Weekly Open. Once again, weeklyopen.com/Blockfolio. Make your first trade on Blockfolio today. And you get all the normal portfolio tracking features that you've loved and incessantly refreshed for years. Of course, you do that when markets are moving, and they're not moving right now, are they, guys?
Negatory. Doge. Speaking of
Doge, Josh just has Doge on the ready with the weekly chart.
It's funny, Doge is one of my charts. Like I have this 4x2 or 2x4, and Doge is just always there. I'm just always looking at it because why not? It's fun. It hasn't moved for what is this? 40 days. Let's see.
Is Doge the altcoin volatility index? Is this like the VIX of alts? I've never thought about the chart this way.
That's why it's up there. We'll see what Don Alt says, but that's why I keep track of it.
I mean, it might be the VIX for like the older coins, I think. But it's very difficult to say because, I mean, this recent pump's been a little bit out of the ordinary, right? I mean, not any, like most other old coins haven't moved while Doge has moved. So,
what was out of the ordinary? The TikTok pump. That was out of the ordinary. This is like a whole nother level. This is new paradigm
it's
stuff.
Maintaining prices that it's never maintained. How many sats is it at right now?
100.
100.
The standard.
So a new floor, 3-digit Doge sats, that would make me sad, honestly, in the long term. Like Doge, it's just going to be like 2024, and we're going to be waiting on Doge to go under 20 sats so we can buy it again.
Yep. Yeah, I'd hate it. But I mean, it's not looking too terrible, I think. Like the fact that it's able to maintain 100 is pretty significant, I think, as long as it doesn't just fall straight through it. I mean, that would suck.
For me, there's a massive divergence. Google Trends are done completely.
Yep. It's like people are over Doge, but the market hasn't figured that out yet.
The other issue with this is bots are messing this up pretty clearly. Just anecdotally, like BNC, when I post the Doge video or article, it gets bombarded with bots. I have no idea why, but they bring up the clicks and views, and whatever goes on there is also happening here as far as the Google Trends. So all this is completely out of whack. Even still, like it's still above the previous all-time highs for Google Trends. And why is this important? Because it generally measures like retail sentiment or new players getting in, searching Dogecoin.
Hey, since we've started the show, you two need to go to twitter.com/weeklyopen and retweet it. People don't even know that we're live right now. Get this quality Doge content.
Yes, sir. What was I going to say about Doge? Oh, Robinhood. Don Alt. Robinhood's adding more alts. Is that good for alts or what?
Wait, what alts are they adding?
I haven't heard exactly.
It's got to be good for alts.
Is your name Don Alt?
Sorry.
No, it's got to be good. I agree. I mean, it has to be good, right? I mean, they're going to buy the top eventually, so it's always good to have them there.
It just gives them easier access to buy the top?
Yep. And I mean, they're going to pump it while doing so. So, I mean, I don't mind. So I think it's good, yeah. Depends on what they're adding. Like if they're adding something that's in the middle of a downward cycle. I mean, Link, for example, has been pretty damn sad, even on good news. I don't know how it's been doing on the weekend, but
I think so. These exchanges, I look at places like Binance or whoever and say like, more is better. We need as many coins as possible. Coinbase is the same mentality. They're just adding. everything under the sun.
Hey, here's a note from Matthew Coveney. Says they're also going to start allowing sending and receiving. So they might actually become a real crypto exchange and not just like a faux location. That's new. Like that means actual custody in users' hands, not like in some, you know what I mean, or control, even if not custody.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to screw up the on-chain data for all these coins.
Yeah.
But yeah, all these exchanges are just adding as much garbage as they humanly possibly can. They're going to end up adding a bunch of stuff and then removing a bunch of stuff when nobody's trading any of it in a bear market.
Yep. I mean, that's how it always goes, right? They add it, and the crazier it goes, the more they try to add. And then at some point, it's just like no one's buying. Like there's not enough demand out there to kind of hold it all up, and then it just nukes, and then they delist it. But I think, like in general, it's for Robinhood, it's not a bad thing because they don't offer as much, right? If I think if Coinbase adds something, it's like whatever. It's good for that coin. It's not necessarily good for crypto. But I think like Robinhood adding stuff isn't bad.
Well, Coinbase was like the stamp of approval. So XRP got on there. It's like, yes, we made it. ADA got on there. ADA people like, yes, we made it.
Meanwhile, I think you can trade like, is Robinhood, can you still trade BSV there? I think you might be able to. I mean, it's not, their current coins are pretty sad.
I was trying to pull up my account to see.
But surely if they have any pulse on the market, they'll start listing DeFi stuff. So that should be pretty bullish for DeFi coins to get broader exposure to regular folks.
Do you think they're gonna just ignore okay, we don't really know what this is. Is this a security? Is it not? Kind of deal. Like I'd be surprised if they added it, but
I mean, I think Coinbase paved the way for asking for forgiveness. And for what it's worth, this is no endorsement of Robinhood. I think they suck. I don't know if y'all think they suck. And I don't think that they're like overly keen on the regulatory side of things anyway, which we've seen like the way they've handled some other things of late. But yeah, I don't think that they're going to consider too much about a legal review. I think as long as Coinbase feels like they can list it, anyone else with a U.S. presence can probably feel like they can list it.
True.
I mean, all this is just based on their IPOs. Coinbase is IPOing. They want to add as much stuff as possible. Before that, Robinhood's IPOing. They want to add as much stuff, or say they're adding as much stuff. Growth, guys.
I read a pretty spicy Coinbase article. Did y'all see this? It was on Mirror, and I don't know how to find that.
Yeah, let's get Charlie Lee on the horn, see what he has to say about that. I haven't seen him discuss that publicly anywhere.
Well, I don't know if it was him.
I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just having to sit here asking questions. I'm just the podcast guy.
This was more of like a review of Coinbase internal politics and stuff over the years, and one of the things included like a turf war internally about whether or not to add coins. It was just interesting.
That probably goes on everywhere.
Yeah, but it was just like this long story, like kind of, it was the most like insidery Coinbase thing I've read yet. It was a little too pro Coinbase in my mind. Like it gave them the benefit of the doubt on several things, but it was an interesting article that I'll find the link for and link up. I think it was Jill Carlson's Twitter that I found this on. So let me look it up and I'll pull it up and show you guys some highlights. But anyway, there's going to be a big, I mean, I've said this before, but like, dude, a company IPOing, especially one, this is a high profile IPO. That brings a lot of attention on an industry. Yeah, it's called The Paradoxes of Coinbase.
I did see that. It was like 1 billion words long, so I decided against it.
Yeah, it's very long, but there's some good nuggets in this. So it's worth reading because you know, this will have impacts on, like this Coinbase IPO will have impacts on the broader market.
Could you imagine being in Coinbase, being on Market Street or wherever the hell they're located? I've actually seen their office. And you're fighting with all these VCs to get their bags listed. Everybody's got a dog in that fight, you know, trying to be the Carl Olsoff, whatever the fuck his name is. Sorry. Carl something, the polychain guy, you know, everybody. Anyway, if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, everybody was trying to get their bags listed, I'm sure. undoubtedly. Like the ZRX stuff, we saw coming a mile away early on because everybody on the ZRX team was a Coinbase person.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting listed on Coinbase definitely seems relational first. But anyway, so they've got a ton of stuff in this article, but I did find it worth reading. And, people will use this as a barometer for like the retail perception of crypto broadly. And I think if Coinbase actually pumps on lists, it could probably push the rest of the market too. Just trying to use my left side of the curve brain a little bit. So yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think it's gonna pull the other exchange coins up if it does well?
I think some of that already happened. Like when they filed their S1 was like right when BNB pumped, right?
Yeah, but like again, could you see like a second leg?
Yeah, I think if it pumps like on the direct listing, then it could impact. Like people will just start drawing correlations between them.
Yeah, okay.
But
and it's gonna be wild regardless. I mean, I've seen so many kind of people talk about it. It's bullish, it's bearish, it's whatever. I think it's bullish, but yeah, I mean, there's so many narratives that you can make up with it. Like Bitcoin bid goes away because people that people that buy it don't buy Bitcoin instead, and that kind of stuff. I mean, I think it's a pretty bad argument, but it all depends, right? Crypto is always about these weird narratives. So either that or it's just gonna mega moon everything.
Yeah,
it's gonna be wild.
So here's a stat from it that I thought was pretty wild. Coinbase holds 11.1% of all crypto assets on its platform. That's a lot. Like, that's terrifying.
That is crazy, yeah.
Anyway, so that's some interesting stuff. This is the generalist that published this. I'm looking at it on a mirror. I don't know what that means. Mirror.xyz. Must be like a Web3 version. But Josh, what do you got pulled up there that I'm looking at?
I was just looking at what's available on Robinhood, and it's a bunch of garbage, basically.
Oh, that's the current stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bitcoin SV, man. That's unbelievable to me.
Yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, I was just checking that out. But yeah, the charts, man.
Let's get to the charts. What do y'all... Josh, let's start with you, and then Don, we'll get to you.
I was going to say, Don, I need an Alta trade because I'm not seeing anything on ETH here.
What time frame are we looking at, first of all?
Doesn't matter. People are obsessed with time frames, man. I don't know. When the market slows down, you move up the scale. When it speeds up,
but you're on a
4-hour
chart?
This is an 8-hour, but it could be a 16-hour. Like, it doesn't really matter.
So they all look the same, yeah.
So basically, after a dip and retrace back up, we've now got a long consolidation up.
Yeah, we've tried to dump. It's looked dumpy, but it hasn't actually done anything.
We've failed both to pump or to dump. That's what I find interesting about this, right? We had
that's just ETH. At least BTC did something.
No,
right?
February 21st it made a high, but then when BTC made a new high on March 13th, it didn't retain it. But then it made a low on March 15th, and it would have been like some kind of swing failure. That's what we talked about last week. But it's just kept consolidating. It hasn't acted like it was a swing failure. Hasn't acted like it was a breakout. Just acts like nothing matters, and it's just going to wait. What's it waiting on, Don?
I mean, it kind of. I can share this. Yeah, I can't.
You can't?
Nope.
Oh, wow.
I can unshare mine, but
yeah, I think that would work.
There we go. Yeah, it's just
messing up my views here.
It's so
messing up my views.
So nothing, just a bunch of nothing.
I mean, it's basically like the problem with ETH. Like this is so dumb. I hate when this happens. Like you have an all-time high resistance, you get rejected there, and then you get rejected. I mean, you could make an argument for an head and shoulders here, right? If you wanted to. But then again, like how often, like it's tested. It could have broken down a while ago, right?
Oh, there's so many wicks down into that 1700 territory.
So, I mean, there's definitely something going on. There might be a buyer there. There might be, who knows, right? But I think in general, if it does start closing below that level, it would look super dumpy to me. But then again, like it's in this range, which is like in this big range, whereas like you have support down here, pretty much immediately below it. You have like the all-time high. It's pretty tough to trade, I think. I don't think ETH's the best trade in general. I mean, if it breaks out, then you can kind of break out along it, I think. But other than that, I don't really see a good reason to get involved with it. Because, I mean, you have a support that's gotten tested like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times on like 11 candles, basically. So I wouldn't want to be buying that, but I wouldn't want to be selling into like this. This is no support into this level either.
Well, so while you look at that, keep it up. But I'm going to pull up my screen, which is on the stream side, which is Bitcoin with the same thing. And it looks like a healthier consolidation, don't you think? Like it's more of a direct pennant. It's, I don't know. It just seems cleaner. Like it's not as defensive of like a singular floor. It's making little higher lows on the mid time frames. Do you agree with that?
I totally agree. I think the thing is ETH BTC doesn't look good, and that makes ETH USD kind of look whatever. It's not looking too good, but Bitcoin isn't looking bad in my opinion. It's doing the same thing that ETH is doing, like just retesting supports over and over again. But before it fails, I think it's not looking too terrible. If that fails, I'd be expecting some more down. Like you have, let me actually, whatever. I'll do it on this one. Like you have support here in this area, and as long as that doesn't fail, I think it's still fine. And then you have ETH, which just looks garbage to me. Like this just looks terrible. I wouldn't want to be long.
Everything ETH is just lower. It looks like it's being dragged by Bitcoin, not that it's being a leader, which is frustrating as you go to our forever chart here on Weekly Open of please hold weekly ETH BTC, don't die, but it really looks like it wants to die. Like that last week was about as bad as it could get without breaking down.
Yeah, I mean, literally exactly close that
the barrier to the strong green box.
I mean, it's doing its job if you think about it. Like it's been doing its best, but it's not really. There's no one really buying it. It looks like so. I could still see this wick to the downside, and then if it does reclaim it, that would be me being bullish again. But until that happens, I want to see either strong up or just a breakdown into reclaim. I don't like it at this support anymore. It's just too many tests. 4 weeks in a row is just bad.
Yeah, it's even on the mid time frames. Like it's just, I don't know. It's just so like it's testing that floor too much. But I'm not saying I think it's going to break down. It's that it's not even like it hasn't even really given us a good hint of a curl up. You know.
That looks gross.
Yeah,
that looks like Head and Shoulders to me. That looks like oil did.
No, I
back in 1985.
If I was going to try to pattern this out, I'd say it's some kind of descending triangle, maybe.
It ain't bullish, whatever it is.
It ain't bullish. It's also under the 20 and 200, the 20, 200. You know, I bet if I just throw an invert scale, looks pretty bullish when you invert it. You know, it looks like it's consolidating above the 200-day moving average. It's not ideal, man. It's not ideal, which is completely against what I would think in terms of what to expect, right?
So how are you trading this though? Are you straddled? Do you got a stop limit ready? Or do you got a breakout trade ready?
Well, I'm not margin trading Ethereum is the biggest thing. But I'm using
some volatility.
I'm kind of using Ethereum as my proxy for should I be in DeFi or not, which maybe that's also a false narrative. I don't know. What do y'all think about that?
I mean, that's what I've been using as well, but have we been right or have we been wrong? Let's see. I mean, Uni's doing pretty well.
Yeah, it's like these DeFi coins they're rotating a bit. Like none of them, like Uni's totally grinding right now. Which one did you just pull up? That's Uni BTC.
Yeah.
It looks better, even better versus BTC than it does versus USD. Like the USD chart's kind of grinding up. And I'm just wondering, because we're waiting on like imminent Uni 3.0, right? Uniswap 3.0. So is that going to send this BTC pair in a price discovery? Is it going to send that grinding up USD pair into like a shoot up? Seems like it should. I don't know.
I mean, it's not looking. It's in comparison to sushi. I think you can kind of see the impact the 3.0 thing has, just based on the fact that it looks very different to sushi. Right?
I think we'll find out. Like with 3.0, that'll tell us. Like, if the market dumps 3.0 of Uni, that's going to give us a big sign to the rest of the market, right? If it's a sell the news type of event, I think we'll probably see a downturn across DeFi. That's my call. That's my thought.
I can't look at any of these charts without seeing double top, without seeing head and shoulders. Uni USD looks fine, but like comp, we talked about this on Friday. Comp USD looks bad. Oof, looks even worse. It's just grinding.
You can override your sharing now, by the way. You don't have to unshare and break my screens.
There we go.
I'm sorry.
Not your fault.
When I switched to my screen earlier, I was sneakily changing the settings so that it could be seamless in the stream, but then you guys screwed it up again. So
like this? Who is bullish on this?
Yeah, but that's a specific. It's a specific asset. That's comp. That doesn't look great.
You want to see something worse? Let's look at the DeFi perp. I'm gonna take a wild guess here. Oof, still in the triangle or still in the diamond. Man,
still in the diamonds means still in the bullish consolidation before continuation.
Okay.
I mean, before that doesn't break down, it doesn't look too terrible to me before it breaks down. But
yeah, I don't know.
I mean, if it does break down, that'd be scary.
This Uni BTC chart just looks really, really good. It looks like a cup and handle after, like, at an all-time high consolidation is what it looks like to me.
I will cede that looks good. Yes, that looks like an ascending triangle ready for up. Uni's version 3 could be the catalyst DeFi is waiting for.
Catalyst one way or the other. So on the other opposite spectrum of that, if you were trying to say this sushi BTC, which I talked about before, like it is, I guess technically you could wick that out, like, but it certainly looks like it's trying to curl down there, don't you think? On its BTC relative consolidation.
Yeah, I mean, it looks way worse than Uni does.
Right.
100%.
But realistically, these should like go together a bit. Despite, the news on Uni, it should still pull everything else up with it if the news is not sold. If the news is sold, some of these others are certainly, whether it's DeFi perp like you looked at, Josh, whether it's sushi BTC, whether it's comp, they all look like they could go down. It's just this massive consolidation, everybody waiting on what's next.
Yeah, I mean, you don't always have a bias when we're consolidating. Are we in a trend? Are we consolidating? Were we in a trend previously? Were we consolidating previously? What does the volume look like? What does the chart pattern look like? What do the candles look like? If all of that collectively tells you basically nothing, then
it's all telling you to wait. It's all telling you that
you can't.
Yeah.
Which sounds like we're saying up or down because like to me,
yes.
This DeFi.
No, we're not saying up or down. We're saying volatility soon, right?
Yeah. But I'm saying this does not look bullish to me. I'm saying comp doesn't look bullish. Uni BTC looks bullish. You can pick and choose here what you want to trade, obviously, but there isn't like DeFi doesn't look great in general here collectively. What does the Uniswap perp look like? Probably just as bad. Oh, it looks better actually.
That looks pretty good, yeah.
That's like cup and handle. This looks ready for all-time high to me. So this to me looks like a bullish bias for sure, with a target of whatever that is up here. Apparently stonks are bullish today. VIX is down below 20.
Somebody in the chat just mentions VIX below 20, just barely.
Barely.
But what I find interesting in the stock market is that the SPY is up a little bit, the Qs are up a good bit, and the IWM is down. So that value rotation is unwinding a bit, which also correlates with the yields look like they may have topped a tad. I've been looking at this a lot, but when I was looking at it this weekend, I mean, it looks like yields are just kind of bearish retesting where they broke down from pre-corona. Like if you look at this weekly chart, it's hard to look at this and be be bullish on those yields continuing to go up. Like it looks like it's just trying to trap people to me, don't you think?
I mean, it's not looking too terrible to me, but then again, it's a straight up rally. Sorry.
This is a monthly chart, and I don't know. Like, is it just going to completely reclaim where it tested from 2012 to 2019? It's going to reclaim it in one go after this type of recovery?
I mean, I usually love when I see those kind of charts and they can hold that level, that low. I mean, I usually try to get long.
Wait, you want to get long? You're looking at my monthly 10-year yield, right?
Yeah, I'm looking at your chart.
Yeah.
I mean, if it pulls back a little, I mean, that looks good. I mean, completely disregarding fundamentals, right?
Yeah.
That just looks to me like, I mean, it's a reclaim of a floor, basically panic wicking everyone out and then just going. But then again, it's yields, right? I mean, that's the problem that I have with it. It's just like,
this is a monthly chart, so it's obviously like this could go years basically in a tight range.
Yep.
But it just feels to me like it's just squeezing the breakdown. Like I would be really shocked if all of a sudden these just shoot up, but I don't know.
What would be case for it? Like, why would it happen?
To shoot up is going to be a continuation of like inflation expectations. If yields go up, people are expecting it. Inflation, then they need more yield, and then that's also the pressure on the Qs in that rotation trade because the Qs are, growth stocks are anticipating future earnings, but if that's if yields are moving up, you have to compete with those better yields, so people might choose the yield instead of your growth expectations. So it's just weird balance. It's just this balance between growth stocks and inflation expectations, yields. It's tricky.
You want a real call? I got a real call for you.
Give me a real call.
Put some hair on your chest. If MicroStrategy breaks up, it's got an inverted head and shoulders, the cleanest of the bunch. If this breaks up, which it may actually precede BTC here, or lead BTC as far as price-wise. But if this breaks up, I think all of crypto is going to do good. Square, very similar. Bit of a mess, but it's there. Tesla, very similar. The Tesla, man, that looks good to me. I don't know about you guys, but
I
volumes, whatever. But look, it gapped up today. What is this?
What, on Tesla?
Yeah,
because the Qs are up. That's what I'm saying. Like that would coincide with those yields taking a break. And it's not that these yields are high, right? It's just that the curve, it's steep. Like it happened very quickly. So I heard on Market Huddle. It's one of my favorite legacy podcasts because they just dink around. Kevin Muir, if I pronounce his name right, he was talking about how it's not so much if yields go up that it's a problem. It's that if they go up really, really quickly, that he thinks like the Fed might actually step in and stuff. But if it's more of a steady grind, then it's not. He doesn't see it as a big problem. And I could see that. I could see all those things correlating. Like maybe they do continue to grind up on inflation expectations or whatever, but things start to recover as it just kind of slows that grind higher. One other chart I want to look at: monthly gold. It basically, in my mind, has to save this 1700 level. This is the 20-month moving average. Like if it wants to call itself an all-time high retest in any capacity, it has to save it here. Because if it goes down further, like it could go quite a bit down. One other macro thing worth looking at. And as we've talked about before, gold being so weak at the same time Bitcoin so strong, just a fun little correlation there.
Yeah, Did you guys see the weekly Bitcoin chart? It's actually not that bad.
Show me.
Let me
Take
share.
over. Take over.
I did. So I mean, it's kind of hanging out where it's supposed to hang out, right? So
It's hanging out with its wang out, dude.
Oh wow.
I mean, still chilling at support. This is fine. Now, if it doesn't hold, then you kind of get in a situation where it's like, yeah, you make a high, and then you make like a tiny new high, and it fucks off like that. It's not something that you want to see.
Go back to like 36K.
Yeah, I could see that. Like if it legitimately breaks down there, like this kind of thing would make sense to me in general, where it goes back to support, pretty much fucks everyone over that's trading on leverage, and then still goes up. That's the thing that Bitcoin likes to do. Now, I don't know if it still likes to do it after a rally like this, because I mean, this was pretty much like we've been saying this, or like in general, I've been saying this, that Bitcoin likes to fuck people over pretty much the entire rally, and it's not happened once. So it's like maybe Bitcoin's changed, right? Maybe Bitcoin doesn't fuck people over anymore.
I think the closest we got to that was that push to 29K, right? Like got below 30 for a hot minute and then bounced up.
Yeah. And I mean, that's just because when you get big buyers step in, I mean, they don't really care.
Willy Woo does on-chain analysis, and I think I may end up being the escrow for a bet he's doing with someone where they're betting, I think they're betting half a BTC or 1 BTC, something like that, on Bitcoin holding that 44K number. So his thing was the 44, 45, something like that, is like a on-chain floor, which would really mean it doesn't get near to that 36 that we talked about. And his counterparty thinks we could go to 36. The chart tells me we could go to 36, but if the on-chain fundamentals, people gobbling up coins, whatever he uses to measure that stuff, he's thinking that it would be more muted than that. I would find that interesting. I still think these moving averages need to catch up. Like that looks pretty extended to me on your chart. And when I look at the moving averages, the 20-week, which we loved to like bounce off with capitulation in 2017, we did it every part of the run, 1, 2, 3, 4 times. We haven't touched it since we broke 10K. That's pretty concerning. Like that's pretty overextended, you know. 20 weeks is not it's not a slow moving average. It's a pretty fast macro moving average. And that would be 36K. By the time, we dump down enough, maybe it'd be 38, something like that. But yeah, I think a dump below 40, if we're going to dump, would make sense. Do another consolidation, kind of like we did in fall 2019. Question is whether that's the end of the bull market or not.
I mean, I wouldn't bet on it. Like, I think that's a good buy regardless. Like, even if it's the end of the bull market, you buy that, and then you still got to hope it's not. Yeah. And then let's say you get a pullback, right? I'm not saying this is going to, every time I do this, right? Every time I draw on this and I'm like this, I get people saying, yeah, dude, you called for whatever. No, but if we did this, right? Let's say we pulled back and then bounce from there. You're either going to see the bull market continue, and it's going to shoot up pretty much straight up again, in my opinion anyway. Or you're going to see a bounce, and then you're going to see like a bleed down to like wherever you want it to go, like 20K maybe, who knows. But like, that's like, no matter what happens, that's a good buy if you get it. Because then either you get like a massive bounce and you get a bear market afterwards, which I'm not counting on, or you get like the bottom before it goes like stupid. So yeah, it's always like having these kind of supports lined out just makes it so much easier, because you actually know what you're gonna do if something happens, and then you can just trade in the meanwhile.
Yeah. Neil Roy says in the chat that Josh, the daily Keynesian's at 45K. What are your thoughts on that? Is this C-clampy?
Yeah, I was thinking about this past couple of days because I was trying to figure out how I want to play this and what I want to do. But yeah, you could have bids at 45 here. What I get worried about when I see this like successive Kijun bounces is they just get weaker each time typically.
Yeah.
until this all resets. So this may just need like 2 months of nothing to actually like go somewhere. But I will say April historically has been amazing for all of crypto. So
yeah, honestly, what I think would hurt people the most would be if we moved up. So like out of this consolidation, move up, go to a meme number, like go to 69K. We're gonna go to 69K, right? Go to 69K and then break down from there with your, let's see what that would even be. 69, and then break down back to like 50 or something. That's your next like 30% drawdown, and your Keynesian would kind of ride up with that. And I think that gets the Keynesian unflattened, lets you break up, get people all long and strong and 100K, here we come, and then you hit like 69 to 50, really mess people up.
You want a crazy trajectory? All right.
Sure.
Get your pen and paper out. If we break 60, we go to 67. If we break 67, we go to 100. That's
why
where I'm prepared we're going. Because if we break 67, that means we're probably not rising wedging here and we're blasting off. And the other reason I like that 67 number is because of the 2-year MA multiplier. If you pull up the...
Can you share your screen?
Oh yeah, my bad.
For what it's worth, a pivot as well is at 63, which typically, if it's going to get past that pivot, then it's probably going to head towards the next pivot, which is all the way up at 79. So we're trying to identify if this breaks one way or the other for the chat, what should we expect? Because we've had quite a long consolidation, so we're trying to find where do you enter, what are your targets, yada yada. We're not just trying to say up or down. So feel free to troll us if you want, but this is how we analyze it for ourselves.
That's because most people don't actually trade. You see, that's the trick of it all. They don't actually, they aren't actually sitting here thinking, what do I do? No, they're too busy asking us about altcoins that mean absolutely nothing. And they're going to get pump and dumped. But if you look at the daily fractal for the entry, 60 is the daily fractal. Who cares? It's psychological resistance anyway, but just to quantify it objectively, that's what I'd be watching is a break above 60. Okay, that is like full long on everything I can situation.
Because of a Williams fractal?
Right, because of the Williams fractal here. If we turn on the alligator, which I don't have on here, I can add it. But the alligator is bullish right now. So if the alligator is bullish and we break above a fractal, bear fractal, whatever you want to consider this, that is your entry signal.
All right, for the chat, for the people listening, you don't have to do all these different signals for TA, but you can pick your poison for how to trade momentum, consolidation, and mean reversion, whether it's the cloud, moving averages, alligator strategies. These are all various types of trend following strategies. When Bitcoin's in a raging bull market, a trend following strategy can be really quite helpful. That's all we're really trying to showcase here, though, is that we're consolidating and waiting for these trend following strategies to tell us something.
Right. So there's 60, right? Like that's obvious. It's not going to change. If you look at the 2-year moving average multiplier, the top side of that, the resistance is 68.
And the 2-year multiplier, again, for people who probably, if you listen to Josh and I's show on Friday, we talk about this, but this is more of like outer boundaries of where the bull market or bear market is. And when it gets outside that 2-year multiplier, it's basically saying, hey, it's like too bearish or too bullish, which means it could still go, but it's like in the late stages. So it's still under it. It's not like overextended from it, but it's we're pretty hot. We're running pretty hot.
The moment we break 68 is the moment we have 3 to 4 good weeks of absolute insanity. So I don't want to get chopped up in waiting for whatever we're waiting for here. When the real trade is 68 to 100K. That is the real trade. People are trying to trade alts, asking me about alt season, Don Alt, much love, but the real trade is 68 to 100K.
No, I agree. If this breaks up, you don't want to be, not necessarily anyway in altcoins, right? it's the back and forth that always happens. You get Bitcoin that goes up, and your altcoins shit the bed. It's not been happening as much lately. When Bitcoin's been moving up and the altcoin's been doing just fine-ish, but they're down so much. At least like the older ones, DeFi, like that's always the problem that I have when I talk about altcoins, because it's like there's two different worlds, right? Some of our peers are still back holding stuff from 17, 18. And that's not really been moving. And then you have DeFi and all this new hot stuff, and that's been really what's been going. So
I am like consistently amazed when people say, "Oh yeah, I've been holding that since the ICO or since like, I first found it in 2017." I'm like, man, you have hands of steel. Like I don't hold anything. Like I don't think I've held anything over a year, Bitcoin included. I don't. Maybe I had some long-term capital gains on Bitcoin from 2017 to 18, but like that's it. Yeah. Don. Also, I've never thought about the fact that your name is Don Alt, as in altcoin, and like, I don't really. You're like an altcoin minimalist. Like you're not. You're not really like a hyper altcoiner, but it's right there in your name.
Yeah, I mean, I just found the thing funny, like Donald Duck, and then Don Alt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just love that. And I mean, back then I was trading altcoins.
How much
pretty
does
much
Cred
exclusively.
hate? How much does Cred hate that your name is a play on words?
No, he actually loves it.
Did you? I think you just did it to trigger him.
No, but back then I was actually like pretty much all in altcoins, and was trading them almost exclusively. I just held Bitcoin, traded altcoins.
Yeah.
But I mean, I turned into an altcoin minimalist at a good time for myself. Like, I mean, it still doubled afterwards, but then it just completely dumped. So I got out before the top, and then it dumped. And I've just been kind of, ever since, I've been on the minimalist side of things. But that's more of
because the charts told you to be.
Yeah. I mean, I'm more than happy. Like if something turns up again from the charts that I love to watch, like let's say Litecoin turns back bullish, I'm going to be the Litecoin maximalist again. It's just Litecoin's not been doing it. And Bitcoin Cash, I mean, I don't mind being bullish Bitcoin Cash if it's actually looking bullish, but it's looking completely garbage. And yeah, until that changes, I'm going to be an altcoin minimalist. And then I'm going to be back to the old trading the altcoins. It's always, I think it's more fun than trading Bitcoin by a large margin.
Oh yeah, I mean the volatility makes it fun. Most traders, most active traders are volatility maximalists more than anything else. And wherever that volatility comes is what you tend to trade. Another one that's really been struggling on the volatility bus is Aave. So Aave relative to BTC is just like grinding ever slightly lower relative to BTC. But what's getting interesting to me about Aave, and I'd put this in the land of like, I don't know, DeFi stuff that's just not, it got me more nervous than excited. Like, whereas I think Uni looks pretty exciting, Aave's doing that thing where it goes so deep into the consolidation that it seems more and more likely that it could break down. And I say this as someone with a position in Aave. But that concerns me. Like, I would have wanted Aave to break up back here, like last week. And so we've gone another week of it just completely consolidating. Makes me nervous because it makes me feel like it's more and more likely to break down. There's a lack of willingness of buyers stepping in to make the push. What do y'all think about that?
The gorilla in the room we haven't talked about is the futures and options rollover, which when is that? Do we think it's indicative of when the impulse will occur? Yeah, so I think it feels like the market is waiting for something, whether it be Uniswap 3.0 or whatever, something 10.0, who cares? But I think ultimately it's going to be the rollover on the 26th. Because if you're a big player looking to go long, short anything or volatility options, whatever, you're going to wait until that expiry. I think the Deribit options OI rollover is like the biggest ever. It's like 4 billion or something.
I've heard about it. It's mad how they've grown.
I saw that Max Payne is 44K for Bitcoin, and 1100 for ETH. Oh, well, that would be a way to finish the bet, right? Not to just not break up enough, but just to totally break down and be half the value of the strike on our bet. And maybe I guess that Deribit says it's max pain. It's max pain. That's just the math, right?
I mean, if that happens, that would be max pain in the next 8 days. I mean, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, that would hurt. That would hurt. I can't think of what would cause that. Let's do the thought process on that. It's just Bitcoin breaks down and a 20% move turns into a 50% move on every altcoin, including ETH, or like more than that.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't sound too unrealistic, but I think like Bitcoin breaking down would need some sort of catalyst as well, right? So it's like you're in this weird situation where you don't really have too many, at least from my knowledge, you don't have like big sellers right now. I mean, that can change real quick when it starts dumping, but like to kind of start it off, like you don't really have anyone to just kind of mega dump it. We've been consolidating, going sideways. Like, unless we turn it back into like a 17, 18 kind of environment where we just wick the highs and then just just completely rug pull. I mean, I would think that we need a catalyst for it. What do you guys think? Like for Bitcoin to break down.
What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, until we see corporate treasuries selling. There's clearly more people buying than selling, right? We're even seeing corporations buy ETH. That Me Too, or however you say it, My Too company announced they were buying BTC and ETH. That's one of the first companies I've seen actually buying ETH for a corporate treasury.
Yeah.
So, it's hard to be bearish regardless of the chart. If you look at, I mentioned this on Twitter, but ETH's transactions per day are back at all-time highs. So there's a huge bullish divergence there in my mind, because ETH is doing big things on chain and price is doing absolutely nothing.
Sorry, this is actually a March 26th expiry, so it's only 4 days away.
Right, there's the catalyst, right? You're looking for a catalyst, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
I find that highly unlikely.
What, that we're going to do something on the 26th?
That we're going to do have a 20% plus move in 4 days.
Oh, down. I don't think it's going to be down. I think the market's just waiting for to do anything. And I think
so that divergence would be Max Payne is asking not to go higher because it puts basically puts too many people in profit. So it's like, how do you hold so you don't hit max pain, but you hit like some some pain before you push up. I could see that. I think in a bull market, you don't have to hit max pain on like open interest and options.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, we haven't really done max pain at all the entire run. I mean, max pain would have been wicking people out, not going straight up. I mean, it's kind of been max pain for a lot of people, right? That wants to get in and then just didn't get to. But
yeah,
we didn't really get, like, no one was punished. We've talked about this before. No one was punished. So, like, expecting the options traders to get punished, I mean.
And for what it's worth, you can look at these max pain type of charts and find out specifically what's impacting it. And it's the fact that there's $40,000 puts with, it's like 5,500 40K puts. So basically they would be out of the money still. So they would lose money. But all these calls would also lose money. But the highest call strike is actually at 80K. There's a lot at 72, 64, 60. So like sub 60, most of your calls are still out of the money and going to be worthless. And then, most of your puts are also going to be worthless. So the difference between max pain and some pain between 44 and current price, it's not that huge. Like this is just the mess here. And that's how you actually read one of these charts. So you don't have to hit that exact point. Now, if there was a huge call volume at 48, that would be really interesting, right? So like if you had an equivalent call open interest at 48, then you wouldn't want to hit that from a max pain perspective. And then at 40 for the puts, it would make me feel much more like 44K is going to be the number. but that doesn't exist. And same with Ethereum. There's no like massive level of puts that's like you have to hit. And then the most of the calls are at prices above where we are today. This is 1900, and then it's like 2200, 2400, whatever. So again, like there's nothing in this chart that tells me we have to hit max pain. Did I just kill some FUD?
You might have, yeah. I mean, in general, expecting price to move that much in 4 days off of nothing, right? I mean, let's say we break daily support, weekly support, whatever, then we can start talking about it. But I think it doesn't really pay off to be too bearish before any of that happens in a bull market. Like if we're in a sideways market, I'm totally down to be bearish just based off of, okay, we're trading into the support and it's not looking too good. But in a bull market, it's pretty tough to be bearish into support just because it's not looking too good. It's the same with ETH, right? Where I'm like, this looks pretty damn shitty. If this was a sideways market, I would definitely, if I was long, I would definitely get out. Would even think about shorting, but it's not, right? We've been trading up heavily. So it just looking shitty is far from enough for me to be bearish on anything.
These just run statistical analysis on those strikes and open interest on them. And I bet like a handful of ETH and BTC, one direction or the other, would shift that max pain potentially by a lot, you know? So I agree. Like, you know, sideways, attempting to like rope people in to selling or going short until it can move up. But Josh, I do agree. Like that 26th date, you're going to stick it in my head. That's got to be our top thing to watch today. What's the 22nd? Is that Thursday night? Like rolling into Friday?
26th, you mean?
26th, yeah.
Yeah, that's Friday.
Yeah. Friday UTC.
Sure.
Speaking of, I guess we technically started early again today, didn't we, Don?
Yep.
Look, we're Americans. We're time morons, okay? You know, we can't help ourselves.
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to try to make it back in time. But then I was like, oh, shit, I need to make it back in like an hour early, actually.
Because we're supposed to do this at UTC time, but we don't because we just don't. We have tiny little American brains. Yeah.
This is totally fine by me.
Why don't
have you guys seen Link, by the way, the weekly chart? Like I've talked about this before.
Pull it up. Let's see it. Like
this is just, this was off of Grayscale saying that they're opening a Link thing, like this green candle here. Like, what's this? You'd expect more from like Grayscale fund opening for Link, right?
It's almost like the team selling.
Yep.
Josh loves to talk about that. I think he tracks the like monthly outflows from team wallets, and they've been selling, and not just selling, they've been selling like more than typical, right, Josh?
So they've been selling more and more over the past year. They're up to 6 million a month coins now, but someone got after me for this because if you look at the 30-day volume on Link, it's bananas. So like in the grand scheme of things, it shouldn't affect price. Like it's less than 1% of total monthly volume.
They have so many coins that they just have to drip them out over time. It's like freaking Bill Gates trying to realize his wealth on Microsoft. He could just sell for decades and it not be all his shares.
But if they have 240 million coins left. If they sell 6 million a month, they've got like 35 more months of selling. But
3 years of steady selling.
So I don't know if they're gonna increase the selling. I don't know what they're going to do. Like I haven't seen any plans about what exactly they're going to do. Every time I bring it up, people just tell me, biz dev, blah, blah, blah. They need to do this, blah, blah, blah. Like, does anybody need multi-million? Like how many millions a month is that? Like 100 and something million a month?
Yeah.
It just seems so crazy to me.
I wonder how that translates to their treasury and like what they have in store, what their expenses are. I think that's an interesting thing to discuss maybe is like, we're starting to see balance sheets come out of these projects, right? Like where we can look at them almost like a company, even though it's a token. And they have plenty of money, right?
Yeah. Where's the quarterly financial report for Smart Contract Limited? I would love to see that if anybody knows if that's available.
Smart Contract Limited is Chainlink's parent company.
Yeah.
See, people give Josh crap about not knowing DeFi stuff, but he researches this more than most of us do. I don't know.
I wouldn't have known that. I wouldn't have known that.
Why don't we get to top thing to watch? Maybe outside that March 26th thing, because it seems like we all probably agree that that's worth keeping an eye on.
Yeah. For me, it's ETH/USD, this line, basically, which I know is boring. It's ETH, whatever. But I think if this breaks down, you're going to see a quick move into here, and then you might get like a good buying opportunity there. So, I mean, I think that's definitely worth a watch. And I mean, we're leaning pretty heavily on it. So I would be surprised if we didn't move up like starting tomorrow into resistance or just started breaking down. So, I mean, I think that's going to come in relatively soonish. And this range, basically. If it breaks out of either of these boundaries, I think there's a breakout play to be had. And that's what I'm watching.
We talked on last week, I think, maybe, about how oftentimes these springs are the best trade opportunities. And this would coincide pretty well. Like if Bitcoin broke up and ETH/USD broke down, it would create that spring opportunity on the USD pair and also that capitulation on the BTC pair, and might end up being the opportunity you're looking for in ETH, right?
Yep, exactly. That's like the best thing about it. That is, we would get a wick on ETH BTC, would get a wick on ETH/USD, and then Bitcoin. I mean, it all hinges on Bitcoin going up, basically. If we break Bitcoin support, I mean, ETH's not going to do well because it's already been underperforming.
Yeah.
But yeah,
if you break Bitcoin if Bitcoin breaks support, ETH's just going to get pummeled. But if Bitcoin moves up, ETH could still get pummeled.
Yep. That's the struggle of the ETH holder right there. Yeah.
Josh, what's your top thing to watch?
Yeah, I agree with Don that I'm just watching the that ETH horizontal. It's like I've been staring at the same chart for days and days and days now. This specific thing, it's like, do I want to add to a long position at the daily Kijun? I think I do. The cloud is there too, so like you're gonna know pretty quick if this trade is unsuccessful, because what's gonna happen is it's gonna blow through this and reach for 12. That's really only gonna happen if BTC breaks down. So I'm buying 1550-ish with a tight stop if we break down. Even on leverage, I think I'm going to take that trade. BTC, I want to see it break 60 before I get excited, but it looks okay here. Looks certainly better than ETH. We talked about the 26th. We talked about some DeFi stuff, but yeah, that's
one thing. Which one are you going to choose?
Yeah, I know. It's all the same thing. Like we're all just waiting, right? We're just waiting for anything to happen.
All right, Josh doesn't want to put a claim out there. I get it.
I just said I'm going to buy 15 if we break down. I'm going to buy 60 if we break up.
Okay, that's fair. All right, and for me, I think my top watch is going to continue to be the Dixie. I said last night on Twitter, doing some phone charting, that it was when the weekly opened. It was looking pretty spicy. It looks pretty spicy. We talked about this every episode of every show I've done. 91.2 is pretty firm here, but the real one is the 200-day reclaim for me. Let's call it 92.80, 92.90, because that flips this whole range from back in mid 2020, flips the 200-day moving average. I'm not a believer in the dollar, so I tend to think this is going to get faded. But if it doesn't, I'm going to need to reassess my entire thesis. For the week, I want to see it below 90, let's call it 92.50. I want to see the Dixie below 92.50, because if it closes the week above that, that's a very strong close and would make me think it's probably going to try to go above that 200-day. So that's kind of what I'm seeing for there. Can one of y'all share your screens back? You break my layouts when you don't share your screen.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think I might have done that.
Yeah, you did. It's okay though. So that's kind of what I've got on my mind. Don, do you remember the trade that we put together where I said, like, here's where you buy, here's where you sell? I'm pretty sure it just got chopped up.
It did, yeah. It did.
It was something around 56, maybe.
It was this one. So that was the stop down here, and that was the wick.
Yeah, but it didn't get to that though. It was before, like we did it after all that, I think.
Did we? I'm not entirely sure.
No. Anyway, whatever the trade setup I shared with everybody, it was a classic, like, when it does nothing, your trade doesn't go well.
Yep.
Because if you were in funding, you would have paid funding, even if you didn't get stopped out. But on the whole, like, nothing good happened out of it yet. But the same concept is basically where we stand today, it seems. Like, if it breaks, what's your level, Don, if it's going to move up? Josh said 60. I think I'm looking at, like, maybe 59.5, something like that.
Of course, 59.99 over here.
Price is riding you.
I think if it closes back above 58, that's good enough for me.
Okay,
I'm
so
going to be looking at 58.
You don't really need that much to, like, be excited about it.
It's basically today, a good day today, and then a good day tomorrow, and more than enough.
Yeah.
What I wouldn't want to see is it close like this, because then we're in this weird zone where it's like this is resistance up here, and this is support, and it gets even worse. It's like even choppier. So wouldn't want to see that, but I wouldn't want to see it because it would make it harder to kind of see where this is going. Not because, okay, this looks super bearish or bullish. It's just, it would look pretty shitty on a TA side of things.
So I think this is the first week since we started Weekly Open that none of us are particularly confident about ETH BTC holding, which is that the bottom?
Maybe next week, like a week during this week, and then the bottom, and then we go up next week. I could see it. Yeah.
Well, I think we'll leave it there. I don't think I have much more. Do y'all have anything?
Nope.
One last thing I'll say is the B-band squeeze on ETHUSD is getting.
I love me some Bollinger Band squeezes. Volatility soon.
Fairly tight here. You know, so if we squeeze to the 26th-ish, and then it's just coiling for something big. That's all I got. Right now it's leaning bullish. It's above the 20. If it breaks below the 20 and we squeeze, then watch out below.
I freaking love all the fundamental stuff with ETH between, Uni 3.0 is bullish, ETH 2, ETH 1559, yada, yada, yada. All my stuff with Ethereum is just bullish fundamentally, but the price has to prove it. And the freaking price just keeps lagging Bitcoin. So it's got to prove it. That said, I'll probably keep my exposure to the ETH landscape because that's what I do. So there we are. Thanks for being here with us, y'all, on this Weekly Open. We will catch you soon. Make sure you go to weeklyopen.com/blockfolio. 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 Track, trade, all the good stuff. Completely mobile. Beautiful interface. Love to see it. Have a good day.